Seasonal marketing is one of the most misunderstood seasons in marketing when it comes to business, and all things marketing. Okay. And I strongly believe that as business owners we have two calendar years. And when I say two, I mean the regular one we know from January to December and your own business calendar year. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to explain. So, for instance, for me, in my business, I know that things start picking up. When I say things start picking up, sales, inquiries, customers, reaching out, like they start picking up towards October till January, around that period. And then it starts coming back again from the ending of February to like August, and then it stops. So you have to know, and these things you only know them with data, right? As a business owner, make data your best friend, because only data will tell you your own seasonal calendar, right? It's not something that you guess or you assume. Basically, you start paying attention to the graph. If you plot a graph to when customer inquiries and sales is high, when it dips, when it goes up again. So I strongly believe that as business owners we have two calendars: the regular January to December calendar and our own business calendar. And maybe that's why I love seasonal marketing a lot, because it's not just about Christmas or Valentine's Day or Black Friday and all that. Okay, it's about aligning all your marketing efforts, right, to fit into the peak seasons of the year and for your business. Okay, so in this video, in this live training, we're looking at seasonal marketing, the whole 9 yards, and how to make the most out of your seasonal marketing. And I have my notes with me here, so I'll be taking pointers and explaining to you. All right, so seasonal marketing is the process of identifying periods when customer behavior, needs, priorities, emotions, spending patterns, or attention change, and positioning your business to become relevant during those periods. So it's basically finding your own spot in the season or in the calendar year, finding your own season. Because I strongly believe that you can actually create your own season as a business owner. I really, really believe that, because if you've paid attention, Funke Akindele now does this thing where every Christmas we sort of like expect a movie from her. Another example is Flavor. We sort of like expect Christmas, Afro Igbo, jam from him. So you can actually create your own season, okay? But we know the popular ones, back to school, December, Christmas, Easter, summer, like we know the popular ones, right? But I also believe that you can create your own. But most importantly, seasonal marketing starts with identifying your own season. Okay, it's not what someone will hand to you. You have to identify. Okay, and like I said here, you start paying attention to your customers' behavior, because your customers' behavior starts changing over time. January, no one is heavily buying anything. Everyone is trying to recover, from the December spending. Okay, so you start paying attention to customer behavior, their needs. As we're approaching back to school, everybody's trying to get things. August, September, October, people are going back to school. Our children, people that are leaving the country to study. So there are different needs at all these peak seasons. So you have to pay attention to those things, identify the periods when customer behavior, needs, priorities, emotions, spending powers, and spending patterns starts to change, and then aligning your marketing efforts, okay, to fit into the seasons. Okay, so basically the underlying keyword in seasonal marketing is relevance. Okay, because at every peak season there are so many options. Okay, I believe that it's just what are we going to do to remain top of mind, to be relevant now that, there is spending, spending power is high and all those things. Okay. So what we're now paying attention to is not what we're selling, it's not what we have to give the customer. We're now paying attention to the customers and the way they change, the way their behavior, their patterns, everything. Our focus now becomes the customer. And that's why I said, if you're a business owner and you've not started paying attention to your business data, then you have to. Because again, it's not something you feel like doing. It's something you've found out from your own data that customers behave this way during this period. Okay? So Christmas does not automatically create a fashion brand moment or make any fashion brand successful. What creates the opportunity is that during Christmas, people attend more events, people travel, people buy gifts, people host family members, church events, church programs, Shiloh, reboot camp, people go out with friends, people buy new clothes, people spend more money. Okay, so it is the way people react or the activities they find themselves involved in that moment that now creates the need for a dress. It's not the dress you launched that will make them need it. It's what is happening in the moment in their lives that is making them see that they need a new outfit. So again, the pattern here is we pay attention to the people because it's what they are going through, what they are experiencing that will create a need, for what we're selling. Okay? So the business that makes the most out of a seasonal marketing period are not necessarily the business that recognize the season. They are the business that prepare for the season before everyone else does. This is very important because I've studied so many of my favorite brands. Okay, I know a particular brand, they are supposed to do something in October. They talked about it. They started talking about it in July. Okay, if you pay attention to what is happening right now with Funke Akindele's movie, right? It's coming out in cinema December 11th, but she announced it August 10th. My pastor's wife, Pastor Laju, she did it with her movie Onobere. Like, if you pay attention to people that are trying to create seasons for themselves, they start talking about it ahead of time. So it's not something that on the 1st of December, that's when your brand is now thinking, oh, are we doing advent calendar? No. You have to start ahead of time because you want to own the peak season. Again, there is a lot of competition. So how do we want to prepare ahead of time so that we own this season? Christmas comes every year. Valentine's Day comes every year. Back to school, all these moments, they come every year. So if we already know that they are coming, why are we always kind of like acting surprised? I see a lot of business. Something that I noticed during Mother's Day, Father's Day, businesses start planning their Mother's Day sales that week. And I'm like, no, you don't expect your customers to automatically start buying, because it's Mother's Day. One thing I noticed with our parents growing up is they start buying our Christmas outfits earlier. I don't know if it's just me, but growing up, my parents didn't wait till December to buy my Christmas outfits. My dad would start buying sometime around October, November, sometimes even August, So it's not something that you wait till December falls on us and then you now start saying you're doing Christmas sales or you're launching a Christmas collection. Okay, so the smartest businesses, they start preparing long before the customers reach the buying moment. Okay, you start researching, you start planning, you start building awareness, you start educating customers, collecting feedback, warming up your prospects, preparing your inventory, because that's also a thing. We'll discuss it. Okay, you start creating intentional content, testing your offers, improving your systems, creating anticipation, so that by the time the season comes, you're not trying to figure out what to do. You've already captured the demand that is in your market. Okay, so the goal of seasonal marketing is not simply to market during the season. The goal is to occupy the customer's mind around that season before the season even arrives. everything that Funke Akindele is doing from now till December is to get in your mind. I'm so sure that she has shot a lot of content, that everything is set, done, scheduled. It's just a thing of let us let these people know what we have so that their mind and everything is ready. So that once the door to the cinemas are open, they go. So it's not something that you think she's doing just because, this is how these things are done. You have to plan ahead of it. Okay? And because we are looking at human beings, you will not say, what if I start now? My customers will forget. No. You have to work so hard to stay top of mind, because if you don't stay top of mind, and one thing that helps you stay top of mind is repetition. So if they don't see you more often, if they don't start taking notes, if they don't start buying their tickets, if they don't start paying attention early enough, the brands that reminded them, the brands that made them start paying attention will be the brands that will take their money. Okay? So you have to become part of the conversations already going on in the mind of your customers early enough. All right? So that when the customer eventually reaches the buying moment, your brand is already mentally available to them. For example, if summer is coming, a fashion brand shouldn't wait until summer begins before talking about summer. Okay? The brand can begin owning conversations around what people will wear, where people will travel to, what occasions are coming, what customers struggle with, how to dress comfortably, how to build a travel wardrobe or travel staples, outfits that you must travel with, colors, or styles that are very relevant for the particular trip you're going to. The brands, they have already created, something that makes the customers always look forward to their post every time they come online. Okay, so the goal is for the customers to begin thinking, summer is coming, I need to prepare, and eventually I need to check this brand. That is the power of occupying the minds of your customers before the buying moment. Okay, so I want us to look at different seasonal marketing moments, because I also believe that it's different for different brands. Okay, so we know the popular ones in the calendar, Christmas, Valentine's Day, name them, Easter, Eid, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Black Friday, Independence celebrations, graduation, back to school. And then we know the other ones. This one is really moved by weather and environmental seasons. Rainy season, harmattan, dry season, summer, winter, cold season, hot season. This one is, the weather. And you know how people also change their behaviors when the weather starts changing. We also have the financial seasons, okay? This one is payday, when people get their salaries, salary week, bonus periods, end of the year spending, school fees period. Yeah, a lot of parents, start paying their children's school fees around August. Okay, all those business budgeting moments, all those financial moments. Another one is the life seasons. I strongly believe that there are things called life seasons. Okay, example, starting a new life in a new city, Japayin, that's someone's new season. Okay, there are businesses that make so much money by keying into the Japa season. It's not a general, seasonal marketing moment, but it's someone's life season. And like I said, around January, February, August, September, October, okay? And that one is graduation, right? I was having a conversation with my friend in South Africa, and she was explaining how the graduation season in South Africa is really, really a thing, for fashion brands and everyone keen into that. So that's also a life season. And that one is getting a new job. Yes, especially January. I feel like a lot of people get into a new job, a new role, let's say second quarter of the year, third quarter. So there's this new job, getting promoted moment, getting married. Getting married, okay? August, September, a lot of getting married moments. Heartbreak, yes, there is a breakup season. There are women that are currently going through heartbreak, and maybe what you're selling would help them come out of it. I don't know. But there are personal seasons, moving to a new house, moving into a new city, moving into a new house, starting a business, relocating, celebrating a major milestone. And there's another one, this one is, anchored in culture, like New Yam Festival. I mean, this one I know it very well because I was born in the New Yam Festival moment. So my parents always travel to the village. So there's New Yam Festival, there's church convention moments. Okay, Shiloh, Rain Conference, Reboot Camp. These are church convention moments. There are festivals, wedding season, concerts. There are concert seasons, sporting events like Premier League. All these things are cultural and social seasons. Okay, and then the final one, which I talked about earlier, is the brand owned seasons. These are the ones that I believe that you can actually carve for yourself, especially when you've studied your brand data, you've studied your marketing data in your business, and you now know. All right, so for a fashion brand, you can create your annual holiday collection, or the founder's anniversary drop, or annual wardrobe sales or mid-year sales. Just create your own season. For a jewelry brand, you can create a birthday collection, the annual gifting campaign. For a consulting company, the annual business reset, the quarterly strategy week, the annual planning. For my favorite coach, Trisha Bees, she does this business growth workshop every end of the year. That is her own season. Okay, for a restaurant, you can create, girlfriend's nights at your restaurant, maybe every particular time. Sunday family lunch. You can actually create your own season. Okay, because when you repeatedly create a commercial moment, customers can now begin anticipating it, and eventually the brand owns that moment. The business has moved from participating in somebody else's season to creating and owning its own season. Okay, so again, every business needs a seasonal calendar, and I'm not saying this to scare you or to force you to get one, but so that you start paying attention. January through December is not the same with human beings. Our behaviors, our patterns, when it comes to buying things, change. Okay, so how can you start paying attention? What are some questions I want you to take note of? The first one is, what moments throughout the year naturally increase interest in what I sell? What moments throughout the year naturally make people start desiring what you sell a lot more? What moment creates the biggest problems for your customers? What moment creates the strongest buying intent? What moment generates your biggest sales? What moments have historically been your peak periods? What moments are likely to become important in the future? For example, a business may discover that its strongest periods are October to January, March to May. Another business may discover that its biggest sales happen September to December, March to August. Another may discover that its strongest period is simply every payday weekend. There is no universal seasonal calendar. Yes, your business should and needs to identify its own. Okay, so if you identify your own, you now prepare for it, or maybe, like I would say, prepare plan ahead, of the season, so that your customers remember you and they buy. Okay, so do not just stop at graduation season. Okay, ask yourself, what is actually happening in my customer's life? Because if you've heard me teach a lot of times, I would always say that if you want to really get better at marketing, or as an intentional brand owner or founder, consumer behavior and buyer psychology should be like your tea and bread. Okay, because most of the things that happen in our business, these things are driven by the human beings that patronize us. So instead of just saying, oh, it's graduation season, ask yourself, what is actually happening in the life of my customer right now? Spend a day in your customer's life in this moment. For a weak business, graduation may create one buying moment, but there are many others. Someone just got admitted into the university. They should celebrate that with a new week. Someone is resuming school. They need a new week for everyday lectures, and just to look put together. Someone got a new job. They need a new week. Someone is moving to a new city. They need a new week. Someone is traveling. Girl, you need a travel week. Someone has a birthday. You need a new week for your birthday shoots and, whatever. Someone wants to gift themselves. You deserve it. You've worked hard. You deserve a gift. So yeah, buy yourself a week. Okay? Someone has achieved a milestone. Someone wants to upgrade their collection. Someone is getting married. The graduation event is only the surface. The behavior underneath the event is where your marketing opportunity lives. Because if you're selling something like a week, I don't think you should only pay attention to the graduation period when the demand is high because, students need week. Guess what? The students need week after they've graduated from school and life continues. They get, a new job. They would like to celebrate that. They hit a milestone. They would like to celebrate that. So it's going to help us look at the customer lifetime value, right? Because these people would, if you pay attention to the seasons in their life and everything happening in their life, you will find one way or the other to fix your products. Okay? So before we talk about creating demand, I want us to understand something. Demand comes from people. Because I know that one thing that we hear a lot is create demand. Before you get into the seasonal, the peak season of the year, you have to create demand. But if you've been paying attention to the undertone of my conversation here, is that our focus is the human being. Our focus are our customers. All right. So demand comes from people. You do not create demand in isolation. People have needs. They wake up with problems and desires and ambitions and everything. So marketing identifies those things and connect the business to them. Okay? So a useful demand building process is this. Who are these people? Okay? We must look at these people. Who are these people? What about their life should we pay attention to, and how is it related to the business that we do? Second thing is the problem. What are they struggling with? Are they struggling with something that our brand can solve? The third thing here is their desire. What do they actually want? The fourth thing is interest. What are they already interested in? The fifth one, tension. What frustrates them about the existing options out there? The sixth one, the shifts. What is changing in their industry, their life, their culture, or their environment? What are people already talking about? What does your brand believe? And what are we doing differently? How can our business become useful within this conversation? Because this is how we are able to build or curate intentional demand. If the moment you're able to run through all these questions, come up with your own answers, then you see that demand is not something that you wish happens. It is intentionally curated. Okay, so the goal is to understand where desire, need, and interest already exist and make your brand relevant to it and give people a compelling reason to choose you. So in this whole seasonal marketing discourse, I want you to know that you don't expect people to rush your brand from the 1st of December just because they know it's Christmas or it's buying season. You, as the business owner, you must create your own demand so that your people, they are ready, when you open the doors for them. Okay, so how do we now prepare before the season? Okay, because most businesses prepare after customers have already started buying. By then, it's already late. So what are the things that we must put in place before the peak season? The first one is inventory. Yeah, because if we say the crowd is coming, if we say we're expecting people to buy, then we need to have something to give them. Okay, So do we have enough products? Which products are likely to sell most? Because from now, or hopefully by September, you must have done, a bit of audit, on your sales performance to look at your best selling products, for the year. Because with that data and with that result, you can now prepare some combos if you want to do, a specific combo. I mean, this is like the offer marketing side of our discourse, right? But if you now want to create specific offers and combos and bundle pricing and all of those things, you have to know. These are not the things that you guess. These are the things that you know based on what the customers are saying in your business. So sit with your inventory, okay? Do you have enough products? Which products are likely to sell most? Or I better say, what are the products that have been performing well all year round? Okay, which products need replenishing or needs to go back, to be improved, like product development. When is your next shipment coming from your supplier? Can your supplier meet your demands? What will happen if our suppliers delay? How much stock do we actually want to sell? Because it's very important that you set your seasonal target, your seasonal marketing target. Yes, it's very important that you set the target. It will help you see what we are aiming towards and build your inventory to be able to meet that demand. And how much stock can we realistically fulfill? It's very important that as a business owner, I'm hoping that by August, if you have a December or Christmas peak season, these are the things that you should do towards the end of August, September. Okay, the next way to prepare is your packaging. Yeah, it's very important. Check your bags. If you're going to do the advent calendar, your boxes, your labels, your stickers, your thank you cards, all those curated packaging. Because again, the way you package your goods regular days may not really be the same way you package them during the Christmas season or Valentine. The third thing I want you to look at to prepare for your peak season is your team. Do you have enough people? Do you have enough hand? Because there is always almost this kind of rush, pressure. Customers are calling, hey, please, I'm traveling tomorrow. Can you deliver tomorrow? There is always this demand, So do you have enough people? Can you start now to train them, your customer support team, and all of those things? Can your customer service handle volume? Can the fulfillment team handle the orders? Who handles complaints? Who handles delivery issues? Who responds to inquiries? All of those things. It's very important that these things are set before the rush. The fourth thing I want you to look at is, the systems operating in your business. Okay, the places that customers are going to always walk through: your website, your payment link, your checkout, your inventory system. How do you confirm orders? Your customer service channels, your delivery, your abandoned cart recovery. In fact, I feel like this abandoned cart asterisk sits in your notes, because if you can get on a website that helps, remind your customers that they forgot something in their cart, this peak season, it's going to be very, very important. Because it happened to me one time. I was about to buy a wig on a website, and I think I got a call, or I just got distracted, and they sent me a WhatsApp message. Another brand, they sent me an email, but this particular wig brand, they sent me a WhatsApp message. Say, hey, we saw that you're about to order this week, and blah 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 blah. Would you like to continue your order here, or go back to the website to complete it? So this peak season, you need a functional website like this that will always help people complete their order. And most importantly, make sure you test them before the peak season. You and your team test it, try ordering from the website, and all those things. Another thing I want you to look at is your numbers. All right, seasonal marketing should be treated as a business campaign. Yeah, not just a content campaign. Yes, it should be treated as a business campaign, so that you know your revenue targets, your unit targets, your average order value, your conversion target, okay, your marketing budget, your inventory budget, your profit target, your customer acquisition target. All these things are basically saying, what are we expecting? What are we hoping to achieve? Okay? Don't move with the excitement of the season that you now replace the financial discipline. No. As the season is starting, you're telling yourself that, by the end of our sales, at the 10th or 14th of December, we are hoping to have generated this profit, acquired this amount of customers, done this and done. Plan for it. Yes, treat it as a campaign so that you would weigh the ups and downs of it. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying you should treat it as a campaign is campaigns, they sort of like have moments of starting, ending, in the middle, so if you treat your seasonal marketing as a campaign, it helps you know the starts, what to do before the season starts, why the season is running, after, how to close it, how to wrap it up, all those things. Okay, so most importantly, have a beginning, have your build up moments, have your peak moments, and the ending. Yes, every campaign starts and ends. That's why I'm saying you should treat it as a campaign. Don't just wake up, in the middle of November and start posting randomly. No. Again, these things are intentionally curated. Okay, so if October is your peak sales period, you begin building awareness months before October. Again, at least by July, yes, by July, you should have put out your first announcement. By July, put out your first announcement. Maybe let's give this a 90-day rule. Let's give it a 90-day rule. Your 90-day campaign or seasonal marketing campaign rule. That's from the ending of July to October, you've built awareness, you've created desire in the minds of people, and you've gotten into the conversations that they're already having, and they now see your brand as top of mind. Okay, so if I'm to plan this calendar for you, I'll say from July 18th or so, your first announcement, and that should be like your awareness week. Okay, that moment, start letting people know what is coming. From August, you start making them aware of the problem that your brand is hoping and intending to solve with this new launch or with this product that is coming. By September, you heighten anticipation and desire so that by October, when you launch, the demand, the numbers are converting. Okay, so this timeline, I think it will fall into our 90-day rule. Okay, because it gives the season, a runway. You now know with your team, your content, your marketing team, everyone now knows, okay, this is what we're doing this week, so that nobody's running helter-skelter. So let's look at content, because if we're going to make the most out of our seasonal marketing period online, we need content heavily. Go and study your favorite brand. Again, I think I've called Funke Akindele 1 million times in this video, but yes, go and study that lady. Go and study everything that happened before the Tribe Called Judah launched. Go and study everything that happened before all her movies. So you see that you need content. As long as we are in this social media online space, you need content. Okay, so don't wait until the season is already happening to start creating your content. That is our error number one. Okay, if Christmas is an important sales season, your Christmas content should be planned and produced ahead of time. And you know what happens in content now? You will research, you will script, you will shoot, you will edit, all the revisions and the sounds, content is it's a full-time job. Okay, so start ahead of time. If you intend to publish Christmas content in November and December, production can happen in September or August. Okay, so it gives your team time to shoot, to edit, to write captions, to create graphics, carousels, to schedule, to review, to test. The goal is to avoid trying to produce everything while simultaneously trying to sell. Okay, and this is why I like to talk about content timing, because I know not all content will perform well at different times. When I was heavily managing social media pages, it was something I really noticed. During the peak season, there is this drop in engagement, not because people are are not at home, or they are at work, or people are free, they are not at work, they are at home, but guess what, they are spending time with family. So they are either having lunch, or they're seeing a movie, or they went to a movie or a concert, or so engagement usually goes down in certain peak seasons, especially Christmas, because everybody is busy. The ladies are in the kitchen cooking, making memories with family. So you don't expect a certain content to perform well in that season. And that's why I talk about content time, or that's why I'm talking about it now. Okay, because your content timing must align with what is happening in the life of the customers. Okay, producing content early does not mean publishing everything immediately. Production timing and publishing timing are different. Seasonal marketing requires you to consider something. When is my audience most receptive to this message? Okay, during Christmas, people's behavior change. They may be cooking. I've already explained all of this. They may be cooking, they may be in transit, attending events, shopping, visiting family and friends, church programs, spending time with family, sleeping differently. Therefore, content consumption also change. The way people now consume content in those moments, they also change. Your regular posting schedule may need to be adjusted. Okay, seasonal marketing requires us to consider not only what should we say, but also when are people most likely to hear us and pay attention to what we're saying. Okay, so if we are going to use content, we've already established that we'll start on time to shoot it, we'll start on time to plan it, to schedule it, and most importantly, know when to actually post it. Okay, so our content calendar or whatever will not be the way it used to be, every part of the year. Okay, so now, what are the things that make you own your peak season? I really want to use the word own, because you can actually own your peak season. Okay, and one thing I want us to look at is offer. Okay, so I think here we can look at offer marketing, all of all those things. Okay, so an offer does not automatically mean discount. I don't think when you hear the word offer, it means you're getting 50% off. I don't think that's what it is. And I'm open to any argument, okay? Because I strongly believe that an offer is more than just some percentage off. Okay, you must start with knowing what you're giving the customer, the value added, everything, and then what you're kind of willing to part with, or what you're trying to say. Maybe you're trying to say, if you're getting it now, this is what you get. Okay, so an offer is fundamentally about what the customer is being offered in exchange for taking the desired action. You want them to buy now. You want them to pack all the outfits you have at that pop-up or at that trade fair. You want them to buy more. So what is that thing added to what they're already getting that makes them, take the desired action that you want them to take? Again, I'm going to say that again. What the customer is being offered in exchange for taking the desired action. It is the overall value proposition surrounding the purchase. The product is what you're selling. The offer is the deal, the experience, the terms, the values surrounding the purchase. I always like to say it's the entire value ecosystem, of the product. Okay, so an offer can include the product, the quantity, the pricing, the bonuses, the delivery, the guarantees, the access, the timing, convenience, exclusivity, additional services, payment terms. Discounts are only one possible component of an offer. Okay, So let's look at offer marketing, because you really, really need it. Offer marketing is the strategic communication of why the customer should take your offer. Okay? And different offers can include discounts. So this is where you now intentionally reduce the price for a defined reason or for a period of time. Yes, maybe we're just doing this because of this Christmas. We're doing 1% off or 2% off or whatever off, but it's for a reason and for a period of time. Okay, the next one is bundles. So this is where you combine complementary products in one purchase. Okay, because you want them to get the best, experience or the best results. For instance, if people always buy our cleanser and our moisturizer, in this Christmas moment we can actually pair them. Okay, so get our cleanser and our moisturizer, at a certain fee, not just because it's Christmas, but because you wanted to get the best experience. They are that product that you should use. Okay, another thing I want us to look at here is combo deals. Okay, so combo deals, simply you package related products or services together. You package them together. So if you're going for our boo boo, we also think that you should go for our ashoki. I don't know, but like it's more like these products are related and they are almost similar to bundles, right? But we are packaging related products or services together so that you get a bigger or a better deal. All right, the next one is free delivery. Okay, some brands intentionally remove delivery costs, so that they can also reduce, resistance when people want to buy. Okay, so in peak seasons of the year, some brands do this where after the sales, that's when they start sending out, order. So people would decide to do, if you order it now, you get it delivered to you for free. So that is, something you're adding to the value the customer is getting for them to take the action you want them to take. And that one is limited edition. You create a product that is available for a particular period. Okay, I think this is where your advent calendars come in, your Christmas events or whatever, but this is something that is created for a specific moment. Then priority access. You give certain customers early VIP or exclusive access to something that's happening in your brand in the peak season. So guarantees, warranties, just so that they know that when something happens, they can come back to you, they're safe. Priority booking, allow customers to secure limited slots ahead of others. Okay, gifting, packaging. So this one, you can do it, maybe every order comes with a gift, or every order comes with different gifts at different, I don't know, however you want to do this one, but just make sure that when someone buys something, there is a secret gift or something that they are not expecting. Okay, so in the peak season of the year, we are selling something. Okay, we are selling something, so we have to tell ourselves what our hero product for the season is. Okay, if we are shining so much light on our new lip glosses, or our sunscreens, like we need to actually know the products that we are giving this light, the new collection, a new movie, a specific event, whatever. Okay, so we know that this is what we're selling, but now the conversation around the product is now what is changing, because we can sell one product, but because we are keying into different conversations happening around this product, the marketing is no longer the same. Like I said here, the products may remain exactly the same, but the conversation around the product changes. For instance, a planner would normally say, stay organized. But when people are going back to school, you now see the same planner, the copies and the marketing, words now become start the semester, prepared, or start the semester organized. January, that same planner says turn your goals into daily achievable actions or whatever. It's still the same planner. And if it's during a business season, say plan your next quarter before your competitors do. It's the same planner, but different context, different customers' reality, different message. Okay, so customers don't buy products, they buy solutions, emotions, convenience, identity, status, confidence, relief, outcomes that fit their current reality. So, what is the conversation around what you're selling right now? Okay, what is the conversation around what you're selling right now? And how can you, change that conversation, to fit your product? Again, the product is the same, but the conversations happening around the product at different times, they change. Is it a product that can fit into these conversations? Okay, so let's talk about building urgency. Okay, seasonal marketing naturally creates urgency because these seasons they have deadline. Okay, the school term starts, Christmas arrives, the wedding happens, registration closes, rainy season, blah blah blah. Okay, but if we are going to pay attention into this season, right, we have to now use their natural timing. Because after 25th December, I don't think any Christmas, offer will get someone. I feel like from the 25th, everybody's now thinking the new year. So you see that automatically the peak season has planned itself. It knows when it has started and it knows when it is ending. After February 14, any other markets you're doing around Valentine's Day, it doesn't get anybody's attention again. Okay, so you have to work with that natural timing, but avoid fake scarcity or manufactured urgency. Okay, urgency should be intentional, credible, and driven by the season your business is operating in. Okay, so you now know that, okay, our Christmas orders we close on this day, wedding bookings we close before this, pre-order closes now, delivery slots, so that the customers understand why they need to act fast. Because they need to know. If we said that we're treating this like a campaign, we know when it has started and we also know when we're closing the doors. Okay, so if we're going to build anticipation, or if we're going to do all of this online, how do I think we should do it so that we can key into this peak season? So I'll start talking, I think I'll break it into, let's say, 4 weeks, just so that we have an idea of what I'm trying to explain. But like I said, the 90 days still works. Okay, so week 0, this is where we create the appetite. Okay, this is where we've made that first announcement. Like I said, we're letting people know that, okay, we've paid attention to this, that, okay, and we see that this is the problem. So let's paint a picture with a fashion brand now. A fashion brand in their week 0 can say something like, or in their month 0 can say something like, last Christmas, we paid attention to your complaints. We noticed that our ladies or our girlies, they wanted outfits that are so functional. Okay, outfits that will help them, attend concerts and also visit family, outfits that would serve them throughout the Christmas season, and structured outfits. So you're starting this first week, or this ground stage, with letting them know that your brand spotted a problem, and that is why you've created, or you're going ahead to create this collection for them. Because if the people or the customers don't see that you understand the problem that they're facing, or don't see that you pay attention to their complaints or what they experienced last Christmas, then it wouldn't make sense. So whatever it is we are doing to create the appetite must come from the point of view of, we saw what you complained about last year, we paid attention to some of the things that happened, and now we've decided to change it this Christmas. I wrote a script here. I said, last Christmas, our customers told us they struggled with finding outfits that worked for church, family gatherings, dinner, and parties without buying 4 completely different sets. Now, we've created something for you. So with this, you're letting them, it's almost like we see a we see you moment, right? You've created, the appetite, or you're just getting, you're warming up everything. Okay? So after this moment, you can just pull out some, screenshots. There's this thing some brands do, they just do some screenshots all over the screen. Pull out some screenshots, some customer moments from last year, some, just different things to just build this community moment, because this is your very important, stage in this marketing. So what did you notice last year? What are you foreseeing? Let them know that you saw a problem, okay, and your brand has decided to create a solution. The next stage now becomes, you announce the solution. So you tell them what you are creating and what they can expect. So in these few weeks, or in these few days, you're telling them that, okay, this is what we have, this is what is coming, this is what you should expect with this is what we're creating, every single thing. Let them know, okay, why we are going for this collection, what you should expect with this collection. Is it functional? Is it breathable? Is it structured? Whatever, let them know. The next week, maybe your week 2 or your week 3, depending, or let's call it stage 3. Now you review the details. Okay, so talk about the textures in this collection, the structures, the fabrics, the colors, the materials, the product details, the features, the design choices, why your brand chose this and not this, all the alternative options, the product went through before you got to the final one. And then your stage 3 or your stage 4, you show them the process. Okay, so this is your production BTS, the fitting moments, samples, product iterations, photography, packaging, preparation, just showing them everything that has gone into releasing this collection for them. The 4th stage is now where I always suggest that you open your VIP slots, give people early access. This is not the proper launch, but you're giving people early access, to see this thing that you've built, get customer reactions, testimonials, previews, okay, and just some user-generated content before the official launch. So when you now launch, people are not meeting the product for the first time. They've already seen the problem, they understand the solution, they've watched the process. It's almost like they built the campaign, or they built this launch with you, okay? It's very, very important you pay attention to these things, because this is also a good time for your community growth and bonding, to really, really increase, okay? And now, when people are ready to buy, okay, don't waste it, okay? Let the customer be able to go from, I want this to have paid in few minutes. Because again, it's a peak season. Everybody is running. I don't know what is chasing us, but we are sure running. So you have to make sure that buying is easy, is faster. Is the product easy to find on the website? Is the price clear? Is the payment, working very well? WhatsApp, everything, like I said, make sure that your team behind the scene is doing their magic. Abandon carts. Remember what I said about this. Make sure that people are reminded, because in this peak season, I don't know what's chasing us, but we're running, traveling, receiving calls, all of all those things. So make sure that, you have your abandoned cart working. Bumper app helps you do this really well. Then delivery, okay? Make sure that your delivery is communicated ahead of time, okay? Some brands, like I said earlier, they will do this thing where they tell you that sale delivery starts after the sales is over. That's if you're running sales or specific kind of sales. But if you can, I'm just saying, if you can, make sure that you have like a prompt delivery system as well. But whatever it is you decide with your delivery, communicate it. Let your customers know that, okay, this is what they're getting. Okay. So